obviously, I thought we did some good things. We took another step in the right direction. We still have a long way to go. Got to clean up taking care of the ball still. It's not quite at the level we need it to be. Defensively, we still got to get better. I certainly thought the zone was a little bit better than our man today, although our man picked up, got us some key stops there in the second half. Thought it got better a little bit towards the end of the first half. I thought it was porous early, and then we got better as the game went on. Characteristic of an older team, which you expect. Guys didn't tie offensive shot making to defensive effort, which was great to see because we missed a lot of them early. Obviously J. Cole, I thought his 5 looks were clean, and he's not going to go 0 for 5 very often. I mean, we just had some shots that we just didn't make that we were very comfortable with. Didn't shoot it great from 3, certainly in the first half. Able to get the ball to the paint, finished 19 for 22 on 2-point field goals. Obviously, close to half the field goals were assisted. I thought we shared the ball and did some good things. So we'll take a look at how we can get better defensively. We're still not there yet in that area, and we've got to take a look at taking care of the ball. Even though we're playing faster, we still got to have less than 16 if we want to reach our potential. Questions?
What's it mean just to kind of see some resiliency? It's the first thing, and when you're down early. And,
yeah.
And you've talked a lot in the past about when they did tie the offense to the defense.
Sure.
Is this a sign of just maturity, or the right mentality sinking in? Do you think?
Yeah, I think so for sure. And obviously those 6 seniors, they talk more now. They know what they're doing. Tracy certainly spearheads that. They talk a lot in the timeouts, even before I sit down with them, and I can hear them talking about different things they're seeing out there. They were very engaged tonight. It helps when players have that disposition for sure, but I think maturity, and you're right, Shannon, on opening night to have that type of resiliency when our shots weren't going in early. I thought our defense was porous early. Yet we kind of just kept hanging in there. Nobody panicked. Thought we showed great poise. And offensively, we didn't shoot it necessarily great from 3 in the first half, but we're up at half. I thought because our defense did get better as the first half wore on, I thought the zone was good for us.
You say porous, but it seemed to me at first that SEMO was making really great cuts, running to their spots, kicking out well, and making all their shots, which is not necessarily porous. They just executed well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it could be. I hope I'll feel that way, obviously, when I see it, Rob. And it's a great point. I certainly don't want to take anything away from them because they do cut hard. And I probably should have said at the outset, the one thing that was interesting about the game going into the game, and I certainly mean this in a very respectful way, but they're very small, even more so than normal. And they use that to their advantage very well. And then here we are, and you guys have followed us for 5 years. This is the biggest team we've had. So it was a really interesting contrast of styles, and I thought our guys were able to adapt. Assistant coaches did a good job with some suggestions, and we made some adaptations during the game that I thought helped us. But from that standpoint, I thought it was really challenging, and it was a great game for us to play against a team that at times, they definitely had 4 guards out there. At times they had 5 guards, and I thought that was really good for us long term.
Was that part of the reason that DJ and Malcolm played together? Is that something that we won't see so much in the future?
No, I think obviously DJ played well. I just said that downstairs. I mean, I thought he had great energy, great motor, but we have the capability to play those guys together, and certainly with DJ playing like that, you want to do that more if he can keep that up consistently. I thought his motor really ran. I thought he was active on the glass. I thought he had great awareness in the zone. Thought he played unselfishly. And then obviously had some good finishes for us in and around the rim.
John, you mentioned 19 for 22 from 2, and you took 31 three-pointers. Were you happy with that? Was that in the flow of everything you wanted?
A couple of them we took late I wasn't real fired up about. But other than that, I thought they were pretty good ones. And, obviously, J. Cole, I don't know how many he shot out of those 31. He shot 10 of them. And the 10 I saw that he shot, I'd want him to shoot the 10 again. He has that gift, so, he just didn't make them tonight. I thought with the shots he got tonight on a typical night, he'd make 5 or 6 of them on most nights.
Yep. Thorne was perfect from the field in the last exhibition. Mav, the same tonight. Our paint finishes, even better than paint touches?
Yeah, no question. Obviously, once you get it there, you want to make it, and give them credit. I mean, they're fronting the post. They're scrappy. You know, they've got Rick's personality. They're aggressive. They pressure. They deny. They're disruptive. So it's not like even though you have a size advantage, they're just letting you come down and throw it in. You know, they work very, very hard to keep it out. And so we had to be precise with some of our execution. I thought our guys had great recognition and awareness of when they were gapping on the backside and when to skip it out to shooters. But a lot of that gapping was taking place because of our size and our guys' ability to seal on the interior. So I thought we did some good things there. But I like to continue to emphasize with our guys getting the ball to the paint.
I guess in the first half, when Malcolm's shot wasn't falling yet, he was still rebounding really well and doing other things. How important is that he maybe stayed engaged in other ways? Yeah, I was impressed with his maturity because I thought both offensively and defensively he got off to a really rough start. And, Cleveland was his matchup. Cleveland got going on him early. A lot of it just on sizing him up and making plays, and his shot wasn't falling. But he's been around the block a time or two, and he just kind of stayed the course, and he did rebound well in the first half. Then I thought in the second half he was better defensively and offensively. And, obviously he was really efficient, Scott, when you can score 21 points on 11 shots. I mean, you're very efficient.
John, just feels way different than last year. Obviously, you start with a win, but you start with it at home. Just how much different does that feel?
Well, obviously, I've said this before. We really appreciate everything Springfield did for us, but our hospitality was through the ceiling. It was great. I mean, they were terrific. But there's no place like home. But as important as that, there's also something to be said about having a healthy roster. That helps just a little bit too.
John, when you get those, you're playing these teams early that are going to be a little smaller than you. How important is to use that size advantage when you get like the switch and the mismatch? Seemed like you missed some guys today when you get like Finke or Hill in the post when they're playing the 4 against the other team's point guard and were unable to get them the ball. Is that something you really got to stress going forward?
Yeah, no question, but I'll take a look at it. I thought there were times where you get the mismatch and, unfortunately, and this, it's not 2-on-2, just the passer and that guy. So all of a sudden their guys recognize there's a mismatch and then they bring everybody and load it up so you can't throw it in there. And then that's when you got to skip it and drive long closeouts like Abrams had to drive along the baseline in the first half because his guy was worried about the post and the mismatch. DJ had a drive in the first half because his guy was worried about the mismatch on the post, was over there helping, got caught in a long closeout, DJ decked it. So we benefited from that even though it necessarily didn't go in. Now, I'm going to watch it and I'll take a look at it and see how much of it was a lack of recognition because we've got to recognize that for sure, and how much of it was the fact that we were taking what they gave us.
With Malcolm, early on, he was kind of settling more of a spot-up shooter early in the game, and then he gets in the mid-post and does some things in that 15 to 18-foot range where he's so deadly. Is that something you want to get him going maybe early on that going forward?
He's gifted down there. He is, and no question we want to try to get him touches in that area. I mean, I think that's great observation, and I thought the bucket he got to start the second half where we got the mismatch and backed the guy down, and he got into that mid-range area and got to a sweet spot, kind of got him going a little bit. So, we do need to make a concerted effort to try to get him in that position because he's very, very good in that area.
John, Jalen played 25 minutes. Abrams played 27. Played them a lot together.
Yeah.
Just what do you see out of your point guards? And I know T-John didn't get into it.
Yeah, those guys played well tonight. They did a lot of good things for us. They know each other like the back of their hand, just both on and off the court. I thought they had some good chemistry tonight. I kind of knew going into the game, Jeremy, that the SEMO's calling card was forcing turnovers. And I was obviously, as you know, I've been beating that drum with that concern with us. So we knew going into the game that there was a chance, as small as they were, that we might play a couple small guards together, point guards, to increase ball handling, give us a chance to take care of the ball a little bit better, match up with their small ball package a little bit better. And I thought it worked out fairly well. I thought those two guys played well together and did some good things.
quick turnaround for you guys. I don't know how much, if any, you know about Northern Kentucky, but how are you guys going to handle the quick turnaround?
We've got a lot of quick turnarounds this month. The players love it, like NBA type of schedule, where they're playing all these games. But you're right, we've got to be smart. Tomorrow will be a lot of walkthrough, a lot of film, correction from tonight, as well as Northern Kentucky film in preparation for Sunday. But I think the biggest thing that changes is trying to make sure we take care of their bodies and minds, especially an older team and some of the things that our guys have been through health-wise. We've got to be smart on those in-between days, make sure we have great mental preparation, and then I'm going to trust Smitty and Fletch. Those guys are great, and they'll have those guys' bodies ready to compete at 5 o'clock on Sunday.
John, Mike Thorne, 16 minutes. Is he getting back to speed?
I think so, Rob. He's a lot better, certainly, than when he was in the first exhibition game. I think, he's been without the brace now for a few weeks. That's helping him. He's moving better. He's dropped some weight. His conditioning is getting better. And, I fully anticipate him continuing to get better every day with where he's at right now and where his body's at. So I thought he looked good moving today.
Finke's tip dunk, is that maybe a sign that he is more physical down low this year than he was?
Well, I don't know, more physical, but certainly more athletic. And, obviously that we've seen him do that 2 or 3 times in practice here in the preseason. And he certainly, when he first got here, would not have been able to do that. That credit goes to him and Fletch. And, as Fletch would say, muscles move bones.